Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Janakalyani Viratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. So, we are continuing from yesterday's discourse, the fire of desire. And yesterday, in the discourse, we saw where desire stays and to whom it belongs. It belongs to our mind and not to the self. We saw how desire comes. It comes because we superimpose happiness on something, on someone, on an experience. And we superimpose happiness on something or someone because we think that that's real. And we think that it's real and different from us because we are ignorant of our true nature as being that self in which the whole world resides. Therefore, desire comes to us because of ignorance. And what does desire do? We saw yesterday, it takes us from birth to birth to birth. Every single thing that we desired, whether we still desire it or not, we unfortunately have to go through, because every single desire manifests at some point, at some time. It won't manifest maybe in the way that we want it, but at some point, sometime, we asked for it. Therefore, we will have to go through it. So if there's ever a question, why did I end up here with this person in this life, in this pursuit? It's because I desired it. And then we went on to see how exactly desire manifests in our life with the three ashanas, putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana. And we saw the first step would be to give up fulfilling these desires through adharmic means. Give up pursuing wealth through cheating and lying. Give up pursuing progeny through adharmic means. Give up name and fame through competition and really cutthroat competition or stepping on other people. Then we saw the second is to really have these desires and fulfill them in a dharmic way. You know, according to our Shastra, if one wants to earn money, that's fine, but do it in a dharmic way, make an honest living, etc. And the third step is when we fulfill our desires, not only in a dharmic way, but in a selfless way, wherein now it becomes less about what we want, what I want, but it's about what is good for the world, what is good for those around me, what can I do with what I have to also serve others. And so in this way, our Shastras give us a sense of how to manage our desires by sublimating them. And then we saw in the fourth step that eventually what will happen is divine desires will start to come. We will quench, or we will thirst rather for more satsang. We will want to do more seva. We will want to spend more time in devotion. We will desire to improve ourselves, to introspect, to reflect. All these wonderful divine desires start to manifest in our lives. And that's a very beautiful part. That's very divine. And slowly, slowly, what happens then, the fifth step, is that we begin to desire for the self. We see that these desires are very good, very noble, very nice, but there's still something more that I want, and we begin to desire for the self. That desire for the self is called mumukshutva. And we saw this yesterday, we started to see this word. Mumukshutvam is a burning desire for liberation, and it's one of the sadhana chatushtaya, one of the qualities of a sadhaka or a seeker. And we also saw that this mumukshutvam comes in different levels. Atimanda, if it comes to me, okay, fine. If moksha comes my way, fine. Manda, I want it, but you know what? I have other things to pursue in my life right now. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. I need to attend to all of these engagements, so not now. And we have Madhyama, where I want it, but I also want the world. And sometimes I really, really want to be free, but sometimes I want the world. And we swing like this pendulum back and forth. And then there's this tivra, this degree where I just want it and I want it and that's it. That's it. That's called tivra mumukshutva. Now the question is, we're in atimanda. How do we get to tivra? Because in truth, we don't want moksha. Very few people want moksha, and it's the raw truth. And you know, when I came back from the Vedanta course, I was so sad because I realized that nobody wants moksha. Nobody wants to know about Brahman. I almost wrote to Guruji and I said, I'm so sad because what am I going to share? Nobody wants this. And what people want is just, how do I deal with my day-to-day life? And how do I handle my children? And how do I age gracefully? And how do I excel in my career? And how do I find peace amidst these changing times? This is what people want. Nobody wants moksha. And so I came to the realization that people do want moksha, but they don't know that they want it. Because everybody wants permanent happiness, but they don't know that that is called moksha. And that's what it is. So we are in this atimanda stage. How do we increase this desire for the self, desire for truth, desire for liberation? There are two concrete ways. And the first one is vairagya, dispassion, viveka and vairagya. And this mantra comes from Mundaka Upanishad, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat nasti akritah kritena. And what this mantra says is, a student, first of all, does pariksha. Pariksha means a student or a sincere seeker examines the world. Socrates once said that an unexamined life is not worth living. So first, to get this viveka vairagya going, the first step is to really examine life. Examine the world. What is it in the world? What is it that I like about this world? What is the world giving me? Is the world something that's really worth pursuing? You know, we often ask ourselves these questions, but we don't think. We don't dig deeper. And every time we have a silent moment to just think, we take our phone and check WhatsApp, or we check our email, or we put on some headphones, or we do something else because we don't think. The problem with us is we don't think. And this is the cause of bondage. Avicharo krita bandha. Bondage lives and thrives on not thinking. And some of us are, like we said, comfortably bound. We don't want to know also. We'll just do what everybody is doing. We'll just go the way everybody is going. Nobody wants to question. Nobody wants to ask. Nobody wants to say, is this the right way or what? We're just following the herd. And we've been following the herd for years. But when a sincere student goes and starts to examine life and says, what is this world? Guess what? They're going to find a lot of defects. They're going to find a lot of defects. And these are just some defects that I'll give you. But if you also think on your own, you can find defects. The first defect that one could find is Dukkha Mishritvam. Means actually in the world, there's no joy. Everything is mixed with sorrow. We actually in our lives have never tasted pure joy. We have never tasted pure joy. Anything that we feel we've tasted joy, it's mixed with sorrow. How? Now we're so happy kind of in this pandemic situation because we can get a lot of satsang and interact with so many people. But we're kind of sad also because we can't physically meet. We're kind of happy that there's a vaccine now that's come out, but we're kind of sad because it's so hard to get an appointment for a vaccine, and it's coming in different ways. It's rolling out in different ways. We're kind of happy that we're studying Vedanta, we're on the path as a seeker, and it's really thrilling, but we're so sad because we can't live it. And it's such a bummer because I know, but I can't live. We're so happy when we get our favorite food to eat, but while we're eating it, we're so sad because it's going to finish. Then when am I going to get it next time? We're so happy when babies are born, your children are born, and the cutest things are little babies. But when they become teenagers, oh my goodness, what happened to that cute little baby? Where did it go? We don't even know. It's such a sad thing. It's so hard to live with this person. And that's just, you and I also were not easy to live with. And that's just what happens, right? We forget that we were also teenagers once and we were also very difficult to live with. So really speaking, every single joy that we've tasted is laced with sorrow. It's actually nothing but sorrow. We've never tasted pure joy. In all of our lives, we've never had pure joy. Can you believe that? And that's crazy because still we're pursuing the world hoping to get pure joy. So one is Dukkha Mishritva. It's laced with sorrow. It's laced with it. The second is Atripti. Atripti means we will never get fulfilled. Has anybody that you've ever met gone out into the world and became full? Anybody pursued these ashanas that we said, pursued a wonderful family life, everything. They have wonderful grandchildren that's on Facebook also, and everybody knows. But are they full? Somebody who's pursued wealth and got enormous amounts of money, became a philanthropist, is living at home, nice and comfortable. Are they full? Or someone who's gained lots of name and fame, who became so famous and so popular. Are they full? Very often, it's these people who become depressed. It's these people who get into drugs. It's these people who get into some crazy mess. It's these people who just don't know what to do with all of this success. So we've seen that people do go out to pursue the world to its full extent. People do succeed. People go to places. They do things. They gain experiences. They travel the world. But yet, they come back empty. Not once have we come back full. So, number one, we've never tasted pure joy. Number two, we've never come back full. Because again, we want, again, we desire, again, we go out. And the third point is that it's bandhana karana. It's a cause of bondage. When we deeply enjoy something, it leaves a craving. It leaves an impression, a deep vasana. And guess what? We want it again and again and again. And we find that we can't do without it anymore. Somebody who just casually started drinking coffee, very casually started drinking coffee. Somebody said, try this coffee, it's nice. Casually you drink it, and before you know it, the coffee's drinking us. The coffee's calling us in our sleep. The coffee's calling us throughout the day, and we're bound by it. We can't live without it. We've become a slave to it. Very nice, you know, in one of this Vairagya Shatkam, it says, you know, objects should be our slaves, but we are their slaves. It's like they're calling us. They're telling us, come to me, and we're nicely listening. Come drink me, come eat me, come watch me. And we're listening. We have become slaves of these objects of the world because they've left such a deep impression, and we have become dependent on them for our enjoyment. So look here. This is what the world is. This is examining the world. So funny we are because we do examine, but what do we examine? What are we going to eat for dinner tonight? Should it be Chinese food or Indian food? And we spent hours talking about it. What kind of flat screen TV should we get? Should we get this brand or that brand? Should we get Samsung or iPhone? And we spend so much time researching this stuff. But researching the world, examining the world, have we ever done such a thing? And the answer is no. And that's why that Vairagya hasn't come. Viveka means examining this world, thinking about what this world can give us. Then we realize after examining this world that it cannot give me what I want. I want something permanent, something long-lasting, something fulfilling. I want supreme joy. But na asti akritah kritena means that akritena, that moksha, cannot be gained by all of these things in the world. It can't be gained there. And when I realize that what I want, the world will not give me, that's called viveka. That is called right thinking, discrimination. Whatever I want, the world can't give it to me. Therefore, I am going to drop the world. Drop the world means I'm going to drop my dependence in the world. I'm going to drop seeking out in the world, and I'm going to seek in. And the day that we drop the world, means drop seeking out in the world, that is called Vairagya. That I'm not going to get what I want from the world, therefore forget about it. There's no point putting forth effort in pursuing the world because I'm not going to get what I want. And that, when I get that feeling, when I become more dispassionate about the world, my passion for truth, my desire for truth, or my mumukshutvam increases manifold. The more vairagya I have, the more mumukshutvam I will have. The more viraga, the more anuraga. But you know what's really funny about us is, will we ever get a sugar cube and try to find salt there? Will we ever say, oh, okay, here's a nice piece of sugar. I want some salt from that sugar. Will we ever say that? I want some salt from that sugar. It's so weird. It's so strange, right? It's really, really strange if I say, oh, you know, try to get some salt from that sugar. you're going to be like, no, there is no salt in that sugar. In the same way, there's no permanent happiness in the impermanent world. There's no permanent happiness in the impermanent world. And it's not there. But yet you and I are seeking it there. We're seeking it there. We're going there. We're looking for it there because that viveka has not gone deep and that vairagya is not right. That's why. So if I don't have a burning desire for liberation, if that desire hasn't come to my heart, this is one of the reasons. I have not examined life deeply, thoroughly, and also I have not developed that dispassion. Therefore, go through it again. Go through it again, go through it again, go through it again. And that's how we have to live life. At some point, we will get it. There are some people who get it faster than others. There is this nyaya called sthali pulaka nyaya. And what this means is, if you get a pot of rice, let's say you get a pot of rice, how will you know that that rice was cooked? Like you're cooking rice, how do you know that that rice is cooked? Do you have to try every single grain of rice to say, oh, it's cooked? Or is one grain enough? So those who cook will say one grain is enough. You take it, you feel it, it's soft, it's done, right? And so you don't need to try every single grain of rice. In the same way, for some people, they try the world once. They feel it, and they're like, it's not for me. And they know it's not for them. Some people will try the world again and again and again and again and again and again. And eventually, in some life, in some point, in some time, they get it. And that's the way it is. So the first part is, why is my desire not deep enough? Lack of viveka, lack of vairagya. Now, the second part. What else can make my mumukshutvam deeper? What else can make me go from atimanda to tivra? And this is called sadhu sangama or satsanga. Satsanga can make my mumukshutvam really, really burn. Really, it can ignite it. What does sat sangha mean? Sangha means companionship. Not just company, but companionship with sat, with truth, or people who are living the truth, people who are in the path of truth. This is what sat sangha means. It's not that you're just near them, but you're communing with them. Otherwise, Gurudev used to say, otherwise Adi Shankaracharyaji's Rudrakshamala would have gotten moksha. It's not that you have to be near them, we have to commune with them. And of course, the best form of satsang is to live with a realized master. That's the best form of satsang because their very life will inspire us. How we say, Puja Gurudev, every breath is a teaching. You know, it's not that only in his discourse he's speaking, he's saying, but the way he lives, you get inspired by someone like that. And you're like, wow, I too would like to be like that. I too would like to raise myself to that level. Now, what if that's not there for us? What if we are not able to be or live with the realized master? Then we must keep company of those who are walking the path. So each other, we are all walking the path towards truth. We must keep each other's company and also read books, as I said yesterday, the lives of saints and sages, of realized masters. And why this is important is for several reasons. One is their company empowers us, right? So when was the last time we felt truly empowered, inspired? Usually whenever we come out of a camp or retreat or a talk, we're like so high, so empowered, so inspired. But then after a few days, we're back to normal again, isn't it? So this constant satsang keeps us in that empowered state of mind that, yes, we can do this. Yes, let's walk on the path. Yes, let's do it together. It keeps us on that frame of mind. It keeps us inspired. Because let me tell you, the world can make us forget that we have to seek. It can make us forget. Tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, back to work, back to all of these things, back to my house chores, back to whatever I'm doing. We can forget that we have to seek God. And in our day-to-day life, when we're cleaning, when we're cooking, when we're working, when we're interacting, we can forget that the purpose or the goal of life is self-realization. We can easily forget. And our seeking can take a back seat. And when our seeking takes a back seat, we've lost it. We've lost it. So when we are in satsang, what happens is not only are we empowered, but also we stay on the path. We don't drop the question. We don't drop these deep questions. Who am I? Where did I come from? What's this world giving me? Is it really worth it? We don't drop these questions because there are constant reminders. And sometimes we will feel that, in satsang, we hear the same thing again and again. Same thing again and again. How many times are they going to talk about Brahman, 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 Brahman? Yes, we know. But let me tell you something. You never know when the trigger will come and hit you. You never know. In every person's life, there will be some kind of trigger that comes that says, enough, stop it right now. And that trigger doesn't come only in that satsang. It is a result of many, 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 many satsangs, many, many, many experiences, many things that I've gone through with so many people. It comes. And therefore, to hear this again and again and again develops a deep vasana. It develops a deep impression. And someday, that trigger, it will just come. I remember for me, I was in Chennai and we were doing the youth empowerment program. And one satsang, Swamiji was just talking about the cycle of birth and death. And he was talking about this chakra. And he said, how many lives are you going to come back again and again and again? And that was the trigger. After that satsang, I was like, okay, I'm joining the course. And then Swamiji said, okay, slow down, wait, make sure, you really want to do it. And so I waited for some time and then I joined. But my point is that we never know when that trigger will come. We never know. If you look at, Ratnakar became Valmiki. He was completely opposite, dacoit. And all that had to happen is Naradji just asked him one question. Naradji asked him, you're robbing, you're killing, you're looting. Who is going to share in all of your sins? And he said, no, my wife will share, my father will share, my children will share. And when he went home, and they said, we will not share in your sins. You're sinning, why will we share? And he got really disturbed. He said, nobody's going to share with my sins. And so Narad Rishi said, you now leave everything, let everything go, just chant the name of Rama. And it was just that satsang, just that touch of satsang. And that Ratnakar became Valmiki Rishi. Just that much. It's just that trigger. We also see the sample of Puja Gurudev when he went as Balakrishna Menon to Swami Shivanandaji's ashram. And he was going to write about the bluff of all of these Himalayan masters. what are they doing? And he didn't really believe in God at that time. And he said, let me expose these people. And he went there with that intention to expose Swami Shivanandaji. But he went and he saw that Swamiji was a saint. He was a saint. He was serving people non-stop. He was meditating. He was conducting classes. He was writing books. And Gurudev saw his life and he said, wow, this is something else. And Gurudev, going there as an atheist, became a saint. This is what satsang does. It has the power to transform our thinking, to keep us inspired, to keep us on the path, to trigger us. And the best part of it is we're together in it. Another thing about satsang is we can get complacent in our seeking. Complacent meaning we can think that this is enough. Whatever I'm doing, my sadhana, this much I'm doing, that's enough. Every day I'm waking up at this time, I'm doing this japa, I'm doing this puja, and that's enough. But when we are in touch with those who are sincerely walking the path, we realize that there's so much more we can do. There's so much more we can improve. So sometimes in Vedanta, we become complacent. This is enough. This is good. I'm a good person. No, it's not enough. We need to go higher. We need to do more. We need to be more. And we won't realize it until we are in touch with these kinds of people, these great masters, and their very wisdom. So this is what satsanga does. This satsanga can increase my mumukshutva. It can make my desire for the self really, really high, really intense. So if I do these two things, Viveka Vairagya means examine the world, sincerely think. Vedanta is actually very simple. It just asks us to think. It just asks us to think. I mean, that's it. But many people are like, but what do we do? Think. That's what to do. Think deeply. That's all it is. It's right there in our face, what the world is. Think. And the second one is surround ourselves in satsang as often as we can, so that we keep changing inside. We keep getting inspired. We keep getting uplifted. And we also become satsang for other people. Now, so slowly, when we do these two things, our mumukshutvam becomes manda, madhyama, and then finally tivra. So our mumukshutvam becomes, okay, moksha made it to my priority list. It made it to my priority list. Now it's in my bucket list. Like we say, it's in my bucket list in life, moksha's there. Great. Is that enough? No. Now moksha eventually will be my top priority. So now moksha slowly makes its way up. Slowly makes its way up. It's my top priority. Is that enough? No, it's not enough, because I want moksha and I also want something else. I also want a good career. I want moksha and I also want a lot of money. I want moksha and I also want my child to get married and all of that. Yeah. So top priority, no. Moksha must become my only priority. My only priority. This is called Tivra Mumukshutva. When everything I think, I say, I do, every single pursuit in my daily life is for self-realization, that is called that burning desire for liberation. And if somebody has this burning desire for liberation, then what do you think? They will get it for sure. There is no doubt. Because the more intense, we saw yesterday, The more intense my desire, the more effort I will put. So it's actually up to us. How intense is this desire to realize God? Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, people cry to God, but how many cry for God? How many people cry for God? Very, very few. Very few. That is the desire for the self. Now, a question may come is that, okay, what happens after I have this burning desire for the self? It's burning anymore. I need to realize I want it. And in the mantra it says, Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Evabi Gachet. So one actually seeks a teacher, seeks a guru, because you all know, I'm sure you've studied Vedanta, that to gain this knowledge, we require Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam at the feet of a teacher. At the feet of a teacher is a must because it has to be a systematic study. It cannot be a YouTube talk there and then an Apple book here and then something else. It cannot be like that. That doesn't work. It needs to be a systematic study which is extremely clear and deep, and that teacher would know how to communicate it. That's why we say Shrotriya, because the teacher knows the whole tatparya of the Shastra, they know the whole essence of the Shastra, and Brahmanishta. The teacher is also living that or aspiring to live to that. And therefore the teacher can answer questions based on their own experience. It's not something that it's a book knowledge to them. It's based on their very experience. And so, tad vijnanaratham sagurum eva vigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. They go with the wood, the wood, and they go to that guru and they learn. Now, what happens after this knowledge is gained? Because Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, I'm sure you've all talked about enough number of times. So we will go ahead and talk about what happens after this knowledge is gained. What happens after one has that intense desire for the self? They gain knowledge. What happens is they become desireless. One becomes desireless. We see that in Bhagavad Gita, Sthita Prajna Lakshana, in chapter 2. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tushtaha sthita prajnas tadocchate. What does this mean? This means that upon the realization of a self, one doesn't desire the world anymore. All the desires, prajahati, they go. And not one desire, two desires, sarvan, all sarvan kaman manogatan, all the desires which are in the mind, they go, they drop, they are dropped. Because when one realizes the self, what does he or she realize? They realize this. For any desire to work, there must be a desirer and there must be a desired object. There must be a bhokta and there must be a bhogya. One gains knowledge of the self, that I am that pure self and I am not the ego, then where is the desirer or who is the desirer? That very ego is falsified. It says, Kim icchan kasya kamaya in Radharanyaka Upanishad. That very desirer, that very ego that wanted something, that wanted this, that wanted that, that very ego is falsified. So upon gaining knowledge, who is there to desire? The desirer is completely roasted. It's gone. And not only is the desirer gone, but the desired object is also gone. Where is the desired object? The desired object is nothing but an appearance in me. The world is dependently existing in me. So, upon gaining this knowledge, there is no desirer, that ego is falsified. There is no desired object because that very world is falsified. So, there is no concept of desire. One becomes completely desireless. And what are they desireless and are they sad? Are they sad and are they moping and are they grouchy? And no, Atman yevatmanat tushtaha. They are just reveling in the self. That's all that they're doing. They don't want to go out in the world and pursue the world and do all of the things in the world. They have no interest in that. Why? There's a very beautiful example that Adi Shankaracharya gives. Let us say that you are in the you are outside and there's a full moon in the sky, and you look at the full moon and it's so bright and it's round and it's luscious and it's just so calm, and you just people write poetry about the face of the moon and how glorious it is, and it gives light and it cools the whole earth. Now, if you're staring at that beautiful moon and somebody says, "Hey, here's a painting of the moon. Look, I made a painting of the moon." Are you going to turn to that painting of the moon and say, "Oh, wow, how beautiful"? You're going to say, "Forget about this painting of the moon. I'm looking at the actual moon in the sky and it's beautiful." You won't even give that painting a look. In the same way, a person who has attained the self, they will not even give a look to the world. They will not even have an interest in pursuing the world because they've gained something so real, so dear, so amazing, that why are they going to do that? This is Adi Shankaracharyaji's example. Now, I'll give you our example. Dal chawal everybody can make at home. And everybody, I'm sure, can make a good dal chawal or idli sambar, whatever you can make. Now, if somebody said, come, we'll go eat at the restaurant and we'll go have dal chawal. Oh, why should I go to the restaurant? I can make it at home. Why will I go do that? And mine will be even tastier, right? You won't go to that restaurant because you know what quantity, you know how it tastes. You're not going to go to the restaurant because you have found the ideal dal chawal or idli sambar or dosa. Right? You don't even want to pursue that anymore. So that is the way that they feel, that they've relished, they've gotten something so high, so wonderful, that they don't have the need for this world anymore. They don't have the need to pursue this world anymore. But then a question comes, which I'm sure is in your minds, that but don't you see them do action? Don't you see them start projects? Don't you see them engage in so many things? How is it that they're content, but yet they so active? They do so many things in the world. What is it about that? It seems like there's a contradiction. So there's absolutely no contradiction in this aspect. What happens is their life is empowered by Ishvara or Bhagavan. They run, we run on our ego. They run on God. They run on the fuel of God. They have no individual sankalpa, wish, or hope. Whatever is making them move, whatever is making them do, that's only Bhagavan. Their lives are instruments, being instruments of Bhagavan. And that's how, Gurudev used to always say, it's Narayana doing the work. It's Narayana doing the work. And they're powered by that. They're fueled by God. So it's not that they're doing things for their own sake. They're doing it because it's the will of God. And also, or They do it because Guru Agnya, because Guru has asked them, so they do it. But nothing more than that. So here is where, we will see the difference between somebody who's sincerely working in the world for their desire, for their fulfillment, and somebody who's worshiping out of their fulfillment. So see the terms that I'm using. Person, who is working in the world to seek their fulfillment because they have desires. What will they be like compared to a person of realization? What is the inner attitude of someone who has desires and who has no desires, who's desireless? The one who's working in the world has desires will become stressed. Become stressed because I want things to be a certain way, and what will happen, I don't know what will happen, and I really need to do this, and I really need to do that, and I need to go here, and I need to go there. This person is running all over the place all the time because they're seeking to be complete. They want to be whole. They want to do this. They want to do that. They want to keep upping their game. And they function on what we call karta bhava. They're karta. They're the doer. For them, they're the doer. Somebody who's desireless is karana, is an instrument of God, as I mentioned. So they're not stressed at all. Whatever flows, whatever comes, let it come. It's not that they're wanting to make themselves whole. They're wanting to make themselves look good. They're wanting to do this. They're wanting to do that. They have no issue. Whatever God wants to do, let God do. I'm going to keep myself empty. Nimitta matram bhavasavyasache. I will keep myself empty. Let God flow through. So there is a sense when you see these Jivan Muktas of relaxation in the way that they act. It's not stressed. Somebody who's working in the world for their own desires, there's a lot of worry. What will happen? What's going to happen? How will COVID affect this? Or will this happen? Or will this not happen? Or what will I do in 5 years? Or where will I get this from? So many different branches, different thoughts coming. For somebody who's a Jivan Mukta, who's desireless, they don't have worry. They have what is called surrender. That Bhagavan will take care of everything. Don't you know that God has taken care of us for so long now, for so many years? So why worry? It's God's work. God wants it done. Now, whatever will happen, let it happen. We end up making plans, but Guruji says so nicely that whenever we make plans, God laughs because it always turns out something else, right? We can contribute, but we cannot control. We can't control what's going to happen. And that's when we accept and surrender, it's a very beautiful feeling. Somebody who's working in this world for their own desires, there's a lot of insistence and resistance. There's a lot of, I want things to be a certain way, and it should be this way alone, and I want it to be like this, like that, a box fit. Or there's resistance, I don't want this, I don't want that, and I want to stay away from that. There's a lot of push and pull there. So much effort goes in that. For a person who is desireless, there's just acceptance. Look, whatever comes my way, that's what needs to be done. Well, let it come. And whatever is not required, let's let it go. There's an openness. It's coming, it's going. It's coming, it's going. Because there's the attitude that it's not mine. Everything, it's all the Lord's work. It's all God's work. I didn't do anything. There's no insistence that you should accept my idea, accept my proposal. There's nothing. There's no resistance that I don't want to work with you. Nothing like that. For a person who's very desirous of this world, there's a lot of gain and loss, profit and loss. I gained this, but I lost this, and I gained this, and I lost this. And hence we have a profit and loss statement, right? And when we gain, we feel also bigger. We feel like more. We feel like we grew. And when we lose, we feel like we shrunk. We feel like we became small. But for a Sthita Prajna, who's desireless, they have nothing to gain and they have absolutely nothing to lose because they're already full. So they're worshipping out of their fullness. So you see, even if it may seem that a realized master, somebody who's desireless, is also working in the world, is also acting in the world, it may even seem that they're also desiring in the world, but it's really not them. It's really that divine cosmic being functioning through them. And because it is so, they can have that attitude of being an instrument, of being completely surrendered, accepting, of being relaxed, and of even really being detached. With those who desire in the world, there's that sense of attachment. Oh, I better get it. If I don't get it, I don't know what I'm going to do. But there's that sense of detachment because they know it's just not them. And that is very freeing. And that is what it means to be desireless. And it is this person and this person alone who is the happiest being in the whole world. And it says so in Taittiriya Upanishad. Even Atma Bodha, it says very beautifully that, all of us put together, in all lokas, in all worlds, in all periods of times, in all places, all of us, all of our happiness is a drop of ocean. It's just a drop of ocean. All of us combined together is a drop in that ocean of bliss of the realized person. The realized person, their bliss is a huge, huge ocean. Our bliss put together, all of us, is just one drop in that ocean. That's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing just one drop of what that Brahmacharini Sthita Prajna Jivan Mukta experiences every moment because they have made this journey from desiring to desireless. So today what we have seen is that mumukshutva, that burning desire for liberation. Many of us don't have it. For many of us, it's a small, it's not a fire, you can say, it's like a little one, little thing, little flame. How to make it brighter and older, it's through two methods we discussed. One is through Viveka and Vairagya, sincerely examining the world, thinking about the world, seeing the defects in the world, and realizing that what I want, I will not get from the world. And therefore, I don't want to pursue the world anymore. Then, second point is mumukshutvam comes through satsanga, surrounding ourselves with like-minded people, with people who are walking the path, so that we remain inspired, we remain seeking, we are triggered, and we don't get complacent, thinking that, yes, we're okay, we're doing fine. So that satsanga can also strengthen our burning desire for liberation. And when that becomes very, very intense, we will seek to learn. We will seek this knowledge at the feet of the teacher. And having learned, what happens is we reach that state of being desireless. Is it such a sad state? No, it's the happiest state ever. But they seem to be moving and acting in this world. Oh yes, they are functioning on Ishwara's Sankalpa or Guru Agnya, the will of God or the instruction of the Guru. And because they are functioning this way, they believe that everything that's coming out of them doesn't belong to them. So there is no sense of mind, there's no sense of wanting, there's no sense of stress, there's no sense of accomplishment, Because they have nothing to gain actually, and they have nothing to lose. They have fulfilled the purpose of their lives, the purpose for which they came into this world. So my prayer is that may all of us also walk this path and slowly, slowly make our way to become this desireless being so that we can enjoy the bliss of the self and revel in it. That would truly be fulfillment. So today we stop here. I am so grateful to all of you because you gave me the opportunity to reflect on desire, and it was actually very fun. I had so many books open on my desk and reading and reflecting. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will say the closing prayer and then we can take questions. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Amma, for a wonderful discourse. And I'm sure many people have questions. And I'll start reading one by one. And then you can take any amount of time to answer the question, as long as you have time. And here is the first question. And this question is asked by our CHINMAYA OMKARA member, Dr. Anupama Subramanian. And the question is, you do practice dispassion, detachment, but people around you perceive it as being cold and uncaring. How do you deal with the situation?
So, dispassion, see, people get these things mixed up. So first of all, dispassion doesn't mean you have to be, you're uncaring and cold. Dispassion it means that I do not depend on you for my happiness. That's what it means. It means, yes, we are living together as family, as friends, etc. But it means that I do not depend on you for my happiness. And when I'm with you, I can be very loving, very caring, very dear, and I can share with you. But please know that I have my own pursuit also, and I don't depend on you for my happiness. This is the thought process. Now, yes, you will feel sometimes, you will be a little distant for some time because you are engaged in your own pursuit. Slowly, slowly, people will begin to understand that. As long as it is this attitude that I've told you, it is not that you're stopping, it's not that you're not being caring and loving, etc. You continue all of that, but you make it very clear that your happiness is not dependent on other people, that you've become independent. You can be by yourself and you can be okay by yourself. So that kind of message should go out, not that we don't care and we're insensitive and etc. The message that we're independent, that should go out. So if you see Gurudev's life, he was very loving, very caring, very present, very much there, but he also was completely independent, and that you could tell, right? So that is something we can definitely achieve with the correct understanding. Is that clear, Anupama-ji?
I'm sorry, she cannot unmute herself because I have restricted everyone.
Can you? Yeah, maybe you can unmute. I just want to check if it's clear.
Okay, I'll just unmute them 1 second. Anupamaji, you can unmute yourself and.
Hari Om Shubhani ji. Yes, it was, but my question is how to make them understand that.
See, they will understand in time. You cannot make anybody do anything. Nah? So they will understand in their own time. And it will take them time.
Okay.
But yeah, but you have to just keep doing what you're doing as long as it's in the way that I said. It's not that we're not loving and not caring and not.
No, I understand. That's what's up. But how to make the others understand? That's the So
they will come around.
Okay. Thank you.
Next question is asked by Dr. Murali Kollur, and he has there are two parts in his question. The first part is, what is the proof in the world that karma accumulated in this janma is carried over to next janma? The second part is, it's about basic question of life after death in form of soul going to other body.
Okay.
So the proof? Yeah.
So the first proof is, what is the proof that karma accumulated in this birth carries over the next, right? That is the first.
Yes.
So when we want to prove something, so there's always, we take shruti and yukti and anubhuti. So the first proof obviously will be our scriptures. They say that whatever we accumulate in this birth, whatever karma phala, the results of actions, the punya, the papa, whatever we accumulate, it will carry forth. This is based on our scriptures, solely based on our scriptures. The second proof is we have to use logic. When we use logic, we see that in this world, every single cause has an effect. Every single cause. When we do something, there's an effect. There's never any cause without any effect. So we understand that every single cause will yield an effect. Therefore, every single action that we do will yield its result. And therefore, logically, it will carry over. And why our scripture says it carries over maybe to the next birth is because in this birth, we cannot, with this body, experience all of the results that we need to experience. Therefore, we have to take up another birth in another body to experience those results. Now, the question can come, well, how do you know all of this? Well, you just look at the diversity of the world, right? Why is it that some people are rich, some are poor? Some are born in some areas, some are born in other areas. Why is it that some children are born with such talents and abilities that they become child prodigies, even if their parents never had that? Why is it that you take two identical twins, a set of twins, who are fed the same food in the same household, the same everything, the same parents, but yet they can be so different? To explain diversity in this world, the only way to do it is through the law of karma. It's because of their purva janma, their purva punya and papa, that there is this disparity in the world. And you can see it even in the same household. So that is the logical proof of how these are carried over. Your punya, your papa is carried over to the next life. Was that clear, Murliji?
Yeah, it's basically, I think you give some examples of child prodigies and all that, which is an exception, okay? Child prodigies are 1 in a million, okay? Or so they say it's carried over from their earlier janma, but that is a very, very few exceptions, okay? But I still, if I believe a person is born poor this janma, and he has accumulated a lot of sins from his previous janma, I don't know, it sounds a little bit illogical. Or are we using this soul business as a psychological crutch? Because nobody wants my body is going to ashes and dumped in river, and that's the end of your story, okay? Nobody wants to believe that, okay? So are we using this soul as a psychological crutch that I have continuity about me, okay? Apart from your progenies, is this a continuity soul, okay? So that's what I'm saying. Logically, is there a psychological crutch in old age, okay? that you have continuity and you're not ending with a bang. Okay.
So no, there's no psychological clutch, but I would say, Murliji, there is this book called Many Lives, Many Masters. Okay. And I think his name is Brian Weiss. There you can see actual proof of karma theory. He is a psychiatrist and he deals with past life regression. He actually regresses people to their past lives. And you will see it's not only child prodigies, but all other people have gone to their past lives. And because they had some trauma in their past lives, they were experiencing some things in this present life. So I would say, if you want to read more or if you want to dive more into the law of karma, you check that book out and that will show you people's lives.
Many lives? You said many lives. What is the name of the book?
Many lives, many masters.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Excellent speech.
Thank you. And the next question is by Dr. Sheila Konda. And she says that enjoy the journey and not the destination is a quote. Can we just enjoy the journey? That means do good, have viveka and vairagya, have less desires, while not reaching the destination. Does this mean I will be back in samsara?
So Sheilaji, yes, definitely. We can enjoy the journey, but you see, every journey has to have a direction. Huh? Do we ever go ride the car and say, let's just drive around today? Maybe once in a while we'll do that, but every time we ride the car, we drive the car, there's a destination. But we can still enjoy the journey. We can listen to pravachan on the way, listen to a nice bhajan, we can sit down, we can relax and drive nicely. We can completely enjoy, but the point is there's a direction, there's a destination. So, and if there wasn't, then we just keep going round and round and round and round and round. So we can enjoy the journey, but if there is no direction, we'll get worn out. Just like driving without any destination, we will get worn out. We will get tired. We will be like, what is this? Where am I going? I'm just going in circles. I need to now do something about it. So this sort of feeling will come. Is that clear?
Yes, I feel like I'm still enjoying the journey, on repeat. So hopefully we'll get there. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And the next question is from Dr. Subir Bandopajay. His question is Jivan Mukta and Sthita Prajna same concept?
Yes. So Subirji, yes, the answer is there, the same concept. Sthita Prajna means somebody who is of steady wisdom. And only a Sthita Prajna is a Jivan Mukta. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And there is Shri Pravina Surasani, and she offered her thanks to you and many humble pranams to you. And those are the questions that I received, and I have a couple of questions for myself. If anybody else wants to ask questions, please type quickly. Otherwise, I'll keep asking my questions until the time ends.
I have a question for
Yes,
Chaitanya.
Go ahead.
The concept of attaining desireless state through vairagya and mumukshittam. Looks like vairagya I can understand, but mumukshittam is very hard to understand.
So, Shankji, can you adjust your camera so I can see your camera?
Sure, sorry.
Okay. So
Sorry.
could you tell me what about it you find hard to understand?
You told the various steps to go from Mada and other steps to go to Tirva, Mumukshittam. But to even have the concept of understanding Mumukshittam, I know what liberation is, what moksha, what the goal is to attain moksha. But to try to understand these steps It's very hard for me to conceive, but I can conceive vairagya.
So, I think the best way, as I said, is to just spend time in satsang, spend time with that company who is on the path, and slowly, slowly it will come. That desire will kindle. I also didn't understand what it was, to be very honest. But when you're surrounded by that company, you feel it and you start to want it, and you start to want it deeply. So that being in that company is important.
Okay. So you have to experience that and try it out and reach that state.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And here is my question. And many of us who are sitting here and listening to the discourse are immersed in samsara. And clearly the path to mumukshutva requires leaving samsara behind, as is suggested. Now, is there any other way for samsaras to be in samsara and still be able to march towards the goal? That is first question. And the second question is that in the fourfold qualifications that you mentioned, viveka, vairagya, samadhi, shat sampatti, and mumukshutva, nowhere it is mentioned that sannyasa is a requirement. Now, these fourfold qualifications, can they be practiced without entering into sannyasa, by staying in samsara?
Yes. So the answer is definitely these fourfold qualifications can be attained without sannyasa. And they are attained. Actually, the purpose of grahastha ashrama is viveka, vairagya, samadhi, shatka sampatti, and mumukshutva. The purpose for any ashrama, the purpose for marriage is to gain sadhana chatushtaya. The purpose for work is to gain sadhana chatushtaya. The purpose for anything is to gain sadhana chatushtaya. And it is only in these places where we do gain it. If you look at how a parent is, how much titiksha they have to bear, how much they have to bear as a parent, isn't it? How much control of senses they have to have because they sacrifice everything for their children. So how much withdrawal from activity, uparama, they start withdrawing from certain places because their whole life becomes their child or what's good for their household. So these qualities are definitely practiced in grahastha ashrama. You don't have to take sannyasa for those qualities. And to sincerely pursue the truth, you can be in your very place itself. You can do it there and then. It will take a little bit of withdrawing from everybody and pursuing that study. You can be there. So it's not that it's not possible at all. The reason why they recommend sannyasa is so that there's the least amount of distractions. There's the least amount of things that you have to think about. So therefore, they recommend that in the Shastra, but it can be very well done in Grihastha Ashrama. But you yourself will have to limit those distractions. You yourself will have to place those limits. And how you do that is up to you.
Okay, and I have a little more, I consider it as a deeper question. I don't know how deep it is from a Vedantic point of view. And it is clearly stated that the desires have to end for realization to happen. So basically, desires are directly related to mind. As long as mind is there, the thoughts are coming, desires are coming. So for desires to end, we are clearly saying that mind has to end. Now, we are telling our mind that it has to end in the end to realize the truth. Now, will that be very terrifying to the mind to end itself? Or how do you tame the mind to understand that it is for the good, that it should end? Do you understand? How do you convince somebody to destroy themselves?
So, see, ending the mind, so we'll be clear about what ending the mind means. Ending the mind means falsifying the mind. Means knowing that the mind itself is false. It's a false entity. It's not real. So when we say ending the mind, that's what it means. Now, is it terrifying? It can be a little bit terrifying, but when we deeply inquire, it becomes actually liberating. That I am not this mind. I am free from this mind. And that very intellect will say, you cannot be this mind because it keeps changing. You cannot be this mind because it's temporary. You cannot be this mind because you say, my mind, what's mine cannot be I. And that very intellect will start inquiring. And then once it inquires, that very mind gets falsified. I will, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji gives this very beautiful example. And with this, you can understand a little bit better. When we have weddings, when we have like huge weddings, there's always gate crashers, isn't it? There's always a gate crasher in the wedding. And so there was this huge wedding and there was a gate crasher. And this gate crasher came to the wedding and posed. So the groom's family said, where are you from? And he said, I'm from the bride's side. I'm a distant relative from the bride's side. So the groom took very good care of him, gave him a place to sit, gave him food and everything. Then the bride said, where are you from? He said, I'm from the groom's side. Oh, I'm from distant relative from the groom's side. So bride's side gave him gifts and, clothes and everything, said, I better take care of him. And so the bride side and the groom side got talking. They said, you're a distant relative. We've never met him before. He's never come to any of the parties. And the groom side said, no, it's your distant relative. The bride side said, it's your distant relative. And they both went to approach this guy to say, who are you? And the minute he saw them coming to approach him, he ran away. He ran away. Now, what does this story mean? That guy who ran away is nothing but our mind. Our mind is sitting there wanting all the attention, wanting all the love, wanting everything. But the minute all the questions come, who are you? Where are you from? Where did you come from? Which side are you? The mind's not able to take it because it's a false entity. It's not able to take it. And what happens is that mind just disappears. I'm nobody. I am absolutely nobody. There's just pure awareness. So how that mind gets hit is through inquiry. Just keep asking, and that mind cannot stand inquiry. It just disappears. So it's not a threatening thing. It's actually a very liberating thing, a very comical thing, if you would say. Because the mind cannot claim anything. It has no independent existence. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you very much. And there are no more questions, and I would like to conclude this discourse. And it's a wonderful discourse, and our pranams to you for a wonderful discourse. And thank you very much.